Hello, everybody, and welcome to FL Teams Live. We are here with you from FLTeams.com as we are every Wednesday night. Tonight, we've got a great show for you previewing the 2022 Major League Baseball season. That's happening just a little bit late, but it is happening. Before we get started, Jeremiah, who is our sponsor for tonight's broadcast?
As always, and every Wednesday, with FL Teams Live, we have our sponsor that works with us. A great sponsor, Symbol. Symbol is basically the stock market for sports teams. It allows you to trade your sports teams like their stocks. You can earn cash, payouts when your team wins. Symbol's blended sports in the stock market. So they offer you a new way to invest and profit off of your sports knowledge. You can buy low, sell high, earn cash payouts when your team wins. Join the already 6,000 plus early adopters who have joined and are starting to profit off their sports knowledge. You can go to www.symbol.com, check the ticker scrolling through, as well as when you make sure you go through on the FL Teams site, when you create your account, make sure you use the code FL Teams. That'll get you a $10 deposit bonus to help start your portfolio.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And real quick to do the introductions for this special baseball preview episode, we, of course, as always, have the great Jeremiah Hensley, host of the Fins Up podcast here on FL Teams, and basically also here with me on FL Teams Live every week. We have Andrew Eshman from the Jag Roar podcast, wearing a Braves hat this time. I wonder why. And of course, we have our fearless leader, the president, founder, and headmaster of FLTeams.com, Isaac Edelman, joining us as well. And I'm your host, Jeff Macolino. I host Bolts and the Bats on the Bay here on FL Teams. Just had its 50th episode last week.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Thank you. I didn't realize it was episode 50 until it came out. So I think real quick before we hop into the MLB preview, we'd be remiss at FL Teams if we did not announce some breaking news that just came out. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Bruce Arians has retired from coaching and moved into the front office of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles will be taking over for him as head coach. Byron Leftwich obviously will still be there to run the offense, without being handcuffed. This is a move I think all of us thought was coming earlier in this offseason, and it's here a little bit later than we expected, but it's here. So
I just think it's proof that Bruce Arians listens to FL Teams. Jeff, you have more power than you think.
Yeah, well, I do think Tom Brady I still think this may have been part of his comeback negotiations, is I don't want to play for him, but, if he goes upstairs, I'll stay down here. So just a hunch. I'm sure that will never come out. But anyways, guys, we've got an exciting baseball season, a full baseball season coming to us. Just a slight delay of, the timeline that we expected, but not even that far into the future. We don't have too many rule changes to take place this year. The universal DH is really the only one that takes place this year. They did announce last week that the shadow runner is still going to be on, or the ghost runner, whatever the heck they call it. The worst rule in sports history. Still going to start extra innings with a guy on second base for just this year, just because, they want games to end a little bit quicker. Also, I guess might as well bring this up too, just when we're talking about this. They're testing out, I don't know if you guys have seen this in the spring games, where the pitchers and 3 fielders can wear earpieces, and the catcher actually calls the pitches on a little remote in his wristband, so that they actually hear the pitch instead of looking in for signals, which presumably for the teams that do it, assuming it's hack proof, which, I'm sure the Astros and the Cardinals will figure out a way to hack it. But assuming it's hack proof, it's meant to speed up the game. the catcher can just go ahead and put in the pitch while the guy's, walking back up the mound. Nobody that you don't have to worry about a guy stealing signs on second base. You don't have to run out to the mound to communicate about what pitch you want when the pitcher shakes off the catcher 3 times. Presumably that's a good move, speeding up the game, but it's still not guaranteed that the league's going to allow it. But I did watch a spring training game where they were using it, and it was a interesting change up to not see a catcher make signs, just go back there and get ready to catch. Anything that helps the pace of play is probably a good thing, right?
I don't know. That hurts my heart, man. I'm a baseball purist. It just hurts my heart thinking about not looking in and seeing the catcher flash signs. Like that's just, yeah.
I just feel like it's introducing possibilities, like you said, Jeff, for hacking some sort of thing, or who knows, somebody listening to like music out there in the outfield instead of watching signs. I'm going out on a limb there. Sorry, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't see. I don't know why you need that. Like, I mean, what does that really help? Players shift when they're calling certain pitches, or there's certain people on base. Like, how much does it really enhance the game? I'm a little skeptical on
it.
Yeah, I think all questions to be answered. So I'd like to see him give it a shot. I don't think many teams will actually do it in the regular season, at least at first. But the first time they realize a guy on second signaled where their pitch was going, it gets hit out of the park, pitcher might be a little more willing to give it a try, I would guess.
Anyways, since you're mentioning that, Jeff, just one thing that came up right before we jumped on. I didn't realize that they're introducing humidors in multiple stadiums this year. And one that was mentioned is Tampa. So begin any of these stadiums near the water or other places, like they're taking the Rockies humidor and bringing it to other stadiums to dry the balls.
Yeah, it's an interesting, especially in Tampa where it's a dome controlled, also not really a hitter's park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the last thing needed in Rays games is less scoring.
It's a dead ball, right?
Yeah. I think the Rays pitching staff already throws a dead ball the way it's gone for the past decade plus. So we've got two Major League Baseball teams based here out of Florida, and one was a little more active, honestly, in the offseason than the other. So let's get started with the Miami Marlins. Let's talk about their offseason, their season outlook. Obviously, the expert in Marlins here is Isaac. So let's kick it to you, man.
Well, it was an interesting offseason for the Marlins. Obviously, it's an interesting offseason for every MLB team. This was one of the most active off seasons. There were a lot of big players on the moves, but obviously the MLB lockout affected every MLB team. Now, in the midst of a lockout, the Marlins had Derek Jeter step down as CEO, and he was the one who made most of the Marlins moves. Now, the Marlins GM, Kim Ng, made the moves official, but Derek Jeter reportedly had a big impact on whatever moves the Marlins made. Well, before the lockout, the Marlins signed someone who Jeff knows very closely from the Tampa Bay Rays, Joey Wendell. He was an all-star last year, a fantastic defensive player. He is a utility guy. He is fast. He really does everything that you need except hit home runs, which is fine. But for a team like the Marlins, they need home run hitters. But luckily, the Marlins signed Avisail Garcia, a big power bat. He also has a huge arm in the outfield. Garcia is really going to help the Marlins in the outfield. And then after the lockout, the Marlins made a surprising move. It's surprising because this guy was really good, and the Marlins haven't gotten good players in years, especially a guy like this with his power. Andrew, a Braves fan, knows him closely.
Yeah.
He was the World Series MVP last year, the biggest series in an MLB season. The World Series, he wins MVP in that series. Jorge Soler. This is a guy who's not the best defensive player, but boy, does he have power. He is Miami's biggest bat since the one and only Giancarlo Stanton, who, believe it or not, used to be on the Marlins. I know, it seems like a while ago. But yeah, Jorge Soler, what an addition. He's definitely going to help the Marlins. And I think what needs to be brought into consideration is the fact that the Marlins kept their pitching staff. Sandy Alcantara, Trevor Rogers, Pablo Lopez. Such a young and talented rotation. The Marlins have one of the most underrated rotations in baseball. The Marlins don't get a lot of credit for where it's due. 2 years ago, I know it was a COVID year. It was a shortened season, 60 games. The Marlins snuck into the playoffs. They still could not generate offense, but what they did do was pitch well. So expect the Marlins to be a team that still struggles to score runs, especially in Lone Depot Park. We were just talking about humiditors, right? The Marlins will not hit because of Lone Depot Park's dimensions, and of course, the ball doesn't travel far out. Even though the Marlins have a retractable roof, if you guys follow the Marlins, they do not open it ever. But yeah, look, expect this team to compete. Look, the Marlins are in the toughest division in baseball. I know Andrew can attest to that. So it's going to be hard for the Marlins to compete, but their pitching is terrific. The Marlins definitely improved, and that's what's most important. You talk about this Marlins team, they only got better. And I think maybe Andrew could prove me otherwise. The top teams in the NL East didn't get much better. The Phillies signed some big bats, but they are terrible defensively. So, Andrew, you're an NL East guy because you're a Braves fan. I want to hear your thoughts on the Marlins and where they can compete in this tough division, arguably the toughest division in baseball.
Yeah, no, I think the Jorge Soler pickup was huge. I mean, a great bat, not as good defensively as you said in the outfield, but I mean, that moonshot in the World Series that he hit, I mean, he just crushed that ball. It went out of the ballpark. So I think that's huge for you guys. And I don't think you guys have many players that are hitting over 300. So he's definitely going to add to the offense. I mean, the pitching staff, like you said, is pretty good. I think Rogers, I'm not as familiar with the Marlins, but I think, Rogers is probably one of your best guys in terms of ERA. So I think you could be contenders, maybe you hit that number 3 or number 2 spot in the NL East, but I think it could be promising. And we'll see how you guys do as well with Jeter kind of stepping down and relinquishing control in that GM spot.
Yeah, I will contest one thing about the NL East being the toughest division in baseball. I would argue the AL East probably still carries that flag, although Jeremiah probably doesn't love things in the NL West either, at least at the very top. It's tough there too. But those are all 3 tough divisions, in fairness. Have the Marlins done enough to really make up? I mean, again, they do have a lot of teams with, frankly, on paper, better offenses than them. A lot of firepower in that division. Have they done enough to make up in their own division, let alone, the entire National League?
They did more than I expected, but definitely they didn't do enough. And part of the problem is that the Marlins have, the least amount of money in the whole MLB, and it's by a large amount. The Marlins can't sign Freddie Freeman. The Marlins can't sign, Francisco Lindor. The Marlins can't sign Trevor Story. They can't sign anyone who is good because good players have hefty contracts attached to them. So the Stanton extension that the Marlins gave him a few years ago was a big surprise. And to be honest, the Marlins need to build through trades. They can't build through free agency because, again, money is a problem. But in addition to trades, they could build through the farm system. The Marlins have one of the best farm systems in baseball, as do the Tampa Bay Rays. Yes, the state of Florida. But the Marlins are one of the youngest teams in baseball, and that's because they built their, star players through their farm system. Jazz Chisholm is a top player. Trevor Rogers, top player. All of these guys were built through the farm system. So, I think the addition of Jorge Soler is really good because the Marlins got him through free agency. And honestly, if you're the Marlins, you can't really sign big bats like him. He was the best bat on the market. You didn't want to get Albert Pujols, who signed with the Cardinals. You didn't want to get any of those other guys. So the Marlins did not do enough to compete and make it far in the playoffs. If they do sneak into a wild card spot, I don't know what they can do. But one thing is for sure, the Marlins are going to try to compete. Will they compete? I don't know, but they're going to try to compete. And if you're an MLB fan of the Marlins or any other team, you want to see your team compete, which is a good thing.
And look, as a Dodger fan, the name that keeps coming up is Soler. I am so happy that the Marlins got Soler because there's a way less chance we're going to see him in the playoffs. I don't need to see that dude swing a bat against me again. Like, I just don't. Yeah, I mean, it's a young team. It's weird for me thinking about the Marlins. The Marlins, when I was first starting to watch, they were the team that would they headhunted. Like, they spent a lot of money back in the days of the Kevin Browns and all that. And like, they were mercenaries. So it was weird. I guess I didn't kind of see where that financial drop off happened. Like, I don't know when all of a sudden the Marlins can't spend money. Because I mean, they were buying series before. So it's like a weird thing for me, but it's a good farm system. I think you got to question it closer. And
Yes.
you're going to have to depend on Soler to actually produce like he did with Atlanta. But I mean, that could have been an anomaly. Like, he was an up and down guy. But you're in a tough division, man. I mean, I think the Braves and the Phillies at the top, that's really tough to get over.
Yeah, I think you guys, with getting Soler, it's going to bring a lot of energy to that dugout because, watching him, throughout the regular season and in the World Series just brought so much energy. But, back to what Jeremiah said is that, he can be inconsistent, right? You look at his batting average, he hits around 230, 240 batting average. He hits some home runs. So if he could, the real big thing is going to be if he can stay consistent, right? And if your pitching staff can be consistent as well. So I think if you guys build through the draft, maybe you guys get somebody, through trades on your pitching staff, you guys can be contenders.
Looking at I'd be remiss because we do have fans of the last two World Series champions here. The Braves, obviously losing Freddie Freeman, and he was the Dodgers' gain, unfortunately. And Soler, I mean, the Braves, just from their perspective, where do you think they sit looking forward to 2022?
I definitely think we're going to be competitors. I definitely think we have a shot at winning the division. I mean, I like the Matt Olson signing. Power hitter can put the ball in the outfield too, get hits, bring, the RBIs in, and he's a good fielder, for being a first baseman. So he's got a lot of the traits that Freddie Freeman had. I think he's going to be a good backfill. And I think along with the guys that we still have in the pitching staff, Ian Anderson, Max Fried, I think we're going to be contenders. We're going to be, going for that division.
And Jeremiah, with the Dodgers, obviously Freddie Freeman, their big addition, I think, and I don't have the list in front of me, but I think they lost Seager and Scherzer. I honestly, I don't really recall any other, at least no big names other than Freddie Freeman, but not that they needed to add big names to that roster. But the Dodgers, they just look like they're probably poised to be World Series favorites yet again.
Look, adding the universal DH did nothing but elevate the Dodgers. I mean, there's a sickness of bats. When you look at the top of this lineup, you're going to look at Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Trey Turner as 1, 2, 3. Like, those guys are unbelievable getting on base, near 300 hitters. And then you're going to back them up, with your freaking Cody Bellinger, Chris Taylor, AJ Pollock. You've still got Muncy should be back and healthy. You're rotating in Gavin Lux as the other DH. I mean, it's really just the sickness, man. I mean, I love my team, but I'm not a gloating fan, so I'm almost embarrassed to talk about it. I mean, yeah, we went out and bought it, but this lineup 1 through 9 now there's not a weak spot. And if somebody gets injured, you can plug a hole right behind it. And then the pitching staff was already young, so really losing Scherzer, I mean, it's not good, but it didn't cripple us by any means. I mean, Walker Bueller's still there. Urias really showed up during the playoffs and the World Series run.
And you guys got Clayton Kershaw back. That was a big one.
Kershaw's back. Andrew Haney is coming in as the fifth starter. We'll rotate that. Dustin May should be back from ACL. People forgot about him from the World Series year. You know, the giant red monster who throws 99. And then, you know, we're moving Blake Triernan into the closer role, which I think is going to be okay. I think that's still going to be a spot that we're going to rotate and find out what happens. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dustin May end up there. We lost Kenley Jansen to the Braves, which it just as a Dodger fan, it's hard to see him go because Kenley was such a part of a legacy. Yeah. But I mean, he found his cutter last year, which was good because prior to that, man, I sweated every time Kenley Jansen got a baseball in his hands. They're just deep. It's really a sickness of wealth. The one thing that's going to be interesting, though, is look, AJ Pollock is, you know, mid-30s. Justin Turner is mid-30s. You've got guys that have health issues that could pop up. Cody Bellinger right now, I don't know if you guys are paying attention. Like, I try not to pay attention to spring training stats, but he's like 3 for 24 with 17 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Like, Bellinger can't hit off a tee right now.
And guess what? It's signs have been shown that he can't hit in the last few seasons. He's gone downhill, which is fine. And the only reason I say it's fine is because the Dodgers have such talent. It shouldn't hold them back. But still, you never know what's going to happen, right? You are going to have the Braves on your tail. You're going to have other teams on your tail. You want to win the World Series. I know we're going to talk about who's going to win the World Series, but we could say it, the Dodgers are World Series candidates. Bellinger needs to hit. He doesn't need to hit in order for the Dodgers to win, but he needs to hit in order for the Dodgers to win by a lot. And in the MLB, you never know what injuries are going to come up. If Mookie Betts goes down, if Freddie Freeman goes down, you need to rely on Bellinger. So the Dodgers are in a unique spot, but they have tons of talent. Another guy is Chris Taylor. He was an all-star last year. He's amazing. He plays every position. So the Dodgers are really in good hands, and I think it's really good that they brought Clayton Kershaw back. I don't see him. I really don't see him on any other team.
I think Kershaw is going to be a year-to-year guy, right? Like, I don't think Kershaw knows if he wants to pitch again until the season's over. So I could see, you know, a lot of one-year deals for him. Andrew, you guys took us out last year. I mean, what do you see?
Yeah, you know, no offense, Jeremiah. You guys got Freddie Freeman, but he is inconsistent, man. Like, he strikes out a lot. I mean, he hits home runs, and he was good in the series, had some big plays, but I think I see him being inconsistent just with, you know, getting into the older age and just I don't know. I liked him over in Atlanta, but I think, like I said, he's a guy that strikes out a lot. So he may hit some home runs in clutch situations, but I don't know. I don't think he's a guy that's gonna, you know, put the ball in play as much. So that with the Braves, I think we can take the Dodgers out again. I think with the DH situation, we have Azuna who's maybe coming back. Maybe our DH, our pitching staff is looking actually pretty good. I mean, Ian Anderson, Max Fried, you know, we have Anoa that's coming back as well, and a good rotation. Still got old man Charlie Morton too. So I think we're gonna be contenders. I think it'll be fun to watch another potential series there with the LA Dodgers and the Braves.
We had no answer for the top of your rotation. Like that Dodgers lineup was completely shut down in games. Like, Fried was just filthy. I mean, so your pitching scares me.
And you guys are also getting Soroka back. I know he's dealt with some injuries. He was a talented and promising pitcher. What are you going to expect out of him, Andrew?
I'm hoping he does, you know, he comes back, he's healthy, he pitches the same, you know, as he was at full, you know, capacity there. Because I think that rotation, like I said, will be nasty with Morton, Ian Anderson, Max Fried. I mean, that's a good rotation and a bullpen that I think is pretty capable, as we all saw in the World Series with guys like Luke Jackson, Tyler Matzik, who was just incredible in the World Series. Just got us so many jams. I mean, I was just like, wow, how did that happen? You know, it was like bases loaded, and he got us out of some really hairy situations. So
What scares me about this Braves team is just the fact that they won the World Series without Ronald Acuna. I know they have Ozzy Albies. I know they had Jorge Soler, who's on the Marlins now, but Dansby Swanson, obviously now Matt Olson. I mean, you guys have talent. Travis d'Arnaud, by the way, terrific. I mean, ever since coming, you know, from
great
the Mets,
catcher.
he's been terrific. Exactly. And Austin Riley. I mean, you guys have talent, and that's what scares me. Acuna wasn't even playing, yet you guys won the World Series, right? It's one thing to make the playoffs. Acuna was playing the whole regular season. You had a good record because of him, but no, baseball is a team sport. It's not like the NBA. The Braves are talented. The Dodgers are talented. Both Jeremiah and Andrew's teams are going to be fighting it out. When it comes to the Marlins and Rays, I don't know. The Rays, though, are a sneaky good team. Let's talk about them, Jeff. What are you going to expect about them? They are always good, and it always surprises people. And I think the simple answer is coaching. I think they're just well ran.
Yeah, it's the front office. You know, there's a reason that they've only had a few seasons since 2008 that they haven't won 90 games. And, you know, they've had guys come in and out in the front office, but they've always just backfilled from beneath. And it's that consistency. It started with Andrew Friedman, you know, and they went to the World Series in 2008. And now with Neander, and if you look across Major League Baseball, I want to say there's five GMs across the league that came from the Rays front office. It's just the way they approach it. They don't need the same amount of money to put talent on the field. And I don't think they're sneaking up on anyone anymore. I think, you know, I think it used to be a thing. I think at this point, everyone expects the Rays to be competitive. And I think, honestly, they'd be surprised if the Rays didn't come out and have a good season. And the Rays tried to make a big swing. I mean, I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't mention they signed Wander Franco to that gigantic extension, which locks him up for over a decade, which is a tremendous move and lots of money the Rays committed. They also tried to take a big swing and get Freddie Freeman. They offered him a pretty comparable deal, a little less money. But, you know, when you take income tax into consideration, don't know that it was actually even less money net for Freeman, but good for Freddie. I hope he fails in Los Angeles. But look, the Rays offensively right now, they're running back pretty much what they ran out most of last season. Obviously, they added Nelson Cruz at the trade deadline. The Rays are always active at the trade deadline. If they're competitive and they have a hole that needs to be filled, they will be aggressive and try to fill it. Also, the Rays make a lot of moves in the last week of spring training historically. So I would not think for a second that the Rays are set. But look at the Rays lineup 1 through 9. You know, you've got, across the infield, you've got Yandy Diaz at third, who's a solid player, good on base percentage, good enough in the field. He can also play first base. You got, obviously, Wander Franco, who's a budding superstar. I think he's going to be an all-star this year at shortstop. Brandon Lau, who's been an all-star and has shown he can be a great hitter at this level. And G-Man Choi, who's a solid producer and a good fielder at first base. Mike Zunino behind the plate. He's an all-star catcher. He's one of those, 3 outcomes guys. It's going to be a home run, a strikeout, or a walk. But, he also is good behind the plate, and that's fine. That's all the Rays need. The outfield, probably the best defensive outfield that you have out there. Randy Arozarena, I think he's going to take a big step forward after his great 2020 postseason, then his Rookie of the Year season last year. And he, I think he's going to take a big step forward. Center field right now, Kevin Kiermaier is a little banged up. We'll see. He's been a guy who a lot of people thought would be traded by now. So could be Kiermaier, could be Brett Phillips, could be Manuel Margot. We'll see. Margot probably will get a lot of the playing time in right field if Kiermaier's in center. Those are all solid players. Kiermaier's really the only hole in the lineup, I would say. Just because he frankly, at this point, he's not going to learn how to hit. It's been long enough. We always thought, if he could just stay in there with his front, he's not going to learn at this point. That's a lost cause. And Austin Meadows, I can't forget him, the DH. I mean, he's capable of hitting 30, 40 home runs easily in a season.
Another former All-Star right there.
Yeah, so the Rays are this is a team that was second in the American League in runs scored last year. They're known for their pitching. And I'll talk about that a little bit too, but they're known for their pitching, but their offense is productive, top to bottom. There's not a weak spot really, again, except for Kiermaier. There's not really a weak spot, I would say, in the Rays lineup. Pitching staff, their big addition this offseason was probably Corey Kluber. And, look, we'll see. He's not that far off from being a superstar pitcher. The Rays tend to do pretty well when they go for guys like that. The Rays also, unfortunately, their disabled list is probably the most talented pitching staff in all of baseball. With Glasnow, he's not going to pitch on there. Pete Fairbanks looks like he's going to miss a couple months. There's a lot of unfortunate injuries. Shane Boz, the young prospect who is likely to be part of the rotation, he's going to miss at least a little bit of time. I think they're still in good hands, on the pitching staff. Their opening day starter is going to be Shane McClanahan out of USF. I expect big things from him this season. And the Rays bullpen full of names that, most people have never heard of, and they keep reloading with names that no one's ever heard of, and they become super contributors in the Rays bullpen. That's just their scouting on bullpen pitchers is beyond reproach. They just one thing I remember seeing last year when the Rays traded for JT Chargois is it's like, hey, if the Rays want your relief pitcher and they're giving you one of theirs, you're getting fleeced. It doesn't matter what you think. They're winning this trade. Now, the Rays' biggest issue. Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, sorry. We got one person here that's requesting speak on the Twitter Spaces. Do you mind if we patch him in real quick?
Throw him on.
All right. Maddie Zeef. Maddie, you could speak. What's up? Not sure if you can hear me. Maddie Z.
Go Rays, baby. Raise up, baby. Raise up.
Nice.
Attaboy, Maddie.
I think we know how he feels about the
Rays fan. I live 30 minutes from the Trop. One, that place is a shithole, if we're going to be honest. But two, I'm a little worried about the pitching.
Okay, why are you worried about the pitching?
I don't think their starting rotation is that good right now. I mean, I know Glasnow is one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy. But I don't know. I just don't feel like – I mean, Corey Kluber, I still think he's a starter in this league, but I don't think he's the Corey Kluber from the Indians when he won the Cy Young. And Shane McClanahan, he's still young. He's still learning. He'll obviously get better. But like he said, the Rays are pretty injured. I also think Ryan Yarbrough is garbage. I do agree with Kiermaier. I don't think he can hit for shit either.
All right.
I just don't think the starting rotation is as. We'll see. That's all I'll say.
Okay. All right, Matty Z, thanks for chiming in there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think Matty's got a point. I mean, I think McClanahan is solid. I don't think you're going to have to worry about him. Drew Rasmussen is probably the number 2, I would say, and he's, again, a solid pitcher, but he's never pitched 100 innings in the major leagues, so there's some issues with how long he can go. Corey Kluber, we'll see on him. I hope he pulls back the magic of old. Shane Boz would have been in the rotation. That, again, he's not supposed to miss too long. You still got, I'm not sure how they're going to settle the kind of the last few spots, but the Rays, I agree with his take on Ryan Yarbrough. He seems to be good coming out of the bullpen for extended innings, but not really a guy I want starting.
Oh, he said Rod. Yeah.
He does suck.
Yeah, he's not a guy I want to see in the rotation. He's a guy I'm okay with him coming out of the bullpen for long innings. I'm not sure if Josh Fleming's going to get a chance to start or Luis Patino. Patino's a real young kid. He's got explosive stuff. It's the Rays, though. They never rely too much on their starting pitchers. One thing I did hear Kevin Cash say is the one guy they're going to try to rely on to go deep into games, and this is a team that usually pulls pitchers 2 times through the lineup, Shane McClanahan, he said they're going to try to get him to pitch deep into games this year. So a lot's going to be riding on his shoulders, really. If he can go deep into games, that's going to open up the bullpen to take over. Rasmussen, if he only has to go through the lineup twice and get pulled after 5 innings, same with Patino, Josh Fleming, guys like that. I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off the starting staff if we get one guy who can go through and keep the bullpen rested at least 1 out of those 5 days.
Hey Jeff, we have another request here. Dom F on the Twitter Spaces here. I'm going to patch him in.
Perfect. And by the way, for anyone that likes to speak to us, please tune into our Twitter Spaces and request to speak. We'd love to have you speak to us. It's at FL Teams. We'd love to have you in.
All right, Dom F, you are on the air here.
What are we thinking about the Mets this year?
Well, I'll take this. Look, the Mets are going to be one of the most hated teams or either one of the most loved teams. One thing is for sure, they have the talent, right? Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Starling Marte from my Marlins. They have talent. They have pitching. I mean, I was bringing up their offense. Why not talk about the 2 Cy Young winners, Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom? Edwin Diaz was once the MLB's best closer in baseball. The Mets have talent. The problem is they don't produce. And the reason the Mets don't produce is partially because of the front office. The Mets do not have that good of a manager. Luis Rojas is not that good. Do you agree on that, Don?
He's not the manager anymore.
Yeah, you're correct. Buck Showalter. Hey, thanks for catching that one. What do you think on him? Because he's more of a...
They still don't have a good manager then.
No, he's probably the best manager to ever win a World Series. So we should be trying to change that this year.
Yeah. And by the way, the Mets have no excuses. I mean, again, the talent is there. The problem with the Mets is they never get run support for deGrom. Now with Scherzer, will they get run support for him? What's interesting about this Mets team is the fact that they make silly mistakes. We can't compare them to the Marlins and Rays. The Marlins and Rays play more as a team. The Mets usually always have
The Marlins suck.
Hey, so Isaac, bouncing off what you're saying, like it does feel like the Mets are spending money, but I feel like they do this a lot. There's
they do
something
this every
about
year.
going to Queens that just destroys good players. Like they should be better than they are. It just never pans out.
I think a good example is Javier Baez because he was talented and he did terrible last season. I don't know what the problem is.
He hit about 350 for us.
Yeah, but
The whole rest of the team was collapsing, but he was actually pretty good.
So do you feel that though, Dom? Like when you guys bring in these free agents, do you get kind of pumped up about that and get the letdown, or from the outside, or am I making more of it than it is? But I feel like more guys than not come in and kind of don't meet the expectation.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the second year of the new ownership. The previous ownership never really spent the money that they did before the whole Bernie Madoff situation happened. And I feel like that was holding us back from I feel like in 2015 to 2017, we should have won a World Series, but we didn't spend the money to put us over the top in terms of the offense.
It's hard to do that when you still got to pay Bobby Bonilla.
All right, so we got another speaker here, Daylo, that wants to talk. So I'm gonna patch him in. So hold on, guys, 1 sec. All right, Dalo, you can speak. What's up, man? Dalo, can you hear us?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up? What's going on?
Not much. I was gonna talk to you guys. What are your views on the Marlins and the Blue Jays? And I bet you guys have talked about the Marlins with Isaac, but
Yeah, well, I'll jump in with the Blue Jays real quick. I mean, the Blue Jays, finishing up what I was going to say with the Rays, their biggest competition is in the division. The best 4 teams in the American League are all in the AL East, and the Blue Jays might be the best. Their lineup is
insane.
It's Dodger
insane.
scary.
I mean, you've got just top to bottom. It's just you don't want to pitch to that lineup. The sons of major league players I grew up as a kid watching, Bichette, Guerrero, Biggio, makes me feel like an old man, first of all. But God, these guys can hit.
They also have George Springer.
Yeah.
Jesus.
For me, I'm just trying to get into baseball, but I'm in love with the Blue Jays, baby blue. So that's why I kind of like them. And they have Vladdy, so.
Yeah, when they spent a lot of their home games last year in Florida playing in Dunedin, so they were kind of an FL team last year.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
they're
a scary
I just
team.
looked at the Rays rotation, and Ryu's their third starter. I mean, they better put up runs.
Blue Jays.
Yeah, sorry, the Blue Jays. They better put up runs. I mean, Ryu's struggling as a Dodger like 4 years ago. If he's third in your rotation, you better score some runs.
Well, here's the big thing with the Blue Jays, and we need to discuss this. Robbie Ray was on their team last year. He won Cy Young. He's no longer on their team.
Yeah.
He's now on the Mariners, so that's a huge loss. I mean, you're talking about the AL Cy Young winner. I mean, how many games does a pitcher win you? You just need to score 1 run, and 8-inning shutout gets the job done. And believe me, the Blue Jays score more than 1 run. They score 7 runs. Come on. Let's be honest here. So that's a huge loss.
Yeah, their rotation looks awful behind it, though, Isaac. Like,
Yes.
like they didn't replace him with anything.
Correct.
Well, and the way they made up for losing a starting pitcher was to add Matt Chapman. So they're fully diving into we're going to win games with offense. And frankly, we'll get to the World Series predictions in a bit, but there's a reason why, and it's the pitching, that the Blue Jays are not the team I'm picking to win the American League.
Yeah. Hey, you know something? We got away from for a second from the Rays. Isaac, you mentioned about the coaching with the Rays. When I was doing this, like flipping through here, you realize last year the Rays used 158 different batting orders. 158 different batting orders.
And
that's coaching, bro.
Yeah, and it's not just coaching; it's like second tier coaching. It's like scouts, it's minor league coaches, it's everyone combined. That's why this Rays organization, whether you hate them, you love them, they deserve respect. They have top prospects. At any time, you can have this no-name pitcher come in and pitch a 7-inning shutout in his MLB debut. That's how good this team is. I'm not, I'm never high on any rookies in any sport, but the Rays know what they're doing with rookies. And you could have a rookie for the Rays pitch Game 7 in the World Series, and I'll be confident in them to win that game. Honestly, the Rays just know what they're doing. They don't need to worry about spending money because they don't spend money anyway. They just need to worry about building talent through through trades that involve farm systems. So it's really the farm system and trades, but a lot of the trades the Rays do are for prospects. So I don't know. The Rays are doing things right, and the loss of Joey Wendell to my Marlins is not that big, believe me.
No, and another secret hidden thing the Rays do that gets underrated, if you see the Rays outbidding the big guys, a lot of times it's on international free agents, the 16-year-olds out of the Dominican and stuff. the Rays spend their money there, and it comes to fruition quite often. The Rays have built their farm system by really, leaving no stone unturned. And, you can't question the results. A small market team like that winning for 15 years, they've won, I think, 90 games in 10 out of the last 15 seasons. That's great for the Yankees or the Dodgers,
I love the Rays because it helps me make my Pittsburgh Pirate fans shut up when they talk about small market teams can't compete. I'm like, Tampa does it every year, dude. Spend money. Like,
well, guys, we've been dancing around it. Let's get to some season predictions here. And your explanations could be as short or lengthy as you would like. Let's start with the Cy Young Award, shall we? I don't know if we want to start in the National League. Isaac, you want to kick it off?
Why not? I'm going to go with Jacob deGrom. I don't see anyone stopping him. I also think that the Mets will finally give him run support. And believe me, the Cy Young voters do care about wins, and I know deGrom has struggled to get wins the past few years because the Mets don't give him run support, and he leaves the game 0-0, right? I'm going with deGrom.
Andrew?
Cy Young winner. I'm going to be biased to the Braves. I'm going Max Fried.
All right, Jeremiah, you might steal mine, I think, but go ahead.
No, look, I'm staying at home also on this. I think Walker Buehler takes a huge step this year and becomes that next big arm for the Dodgers. I mean, he's already there, but I think Buehler, this is a year that he becomes dominant.
I had a feeling I should have jumped in and said mine.
You should have took it first.
That's my pick too. I'm like, I think he's a little under the radar, not totally, but I mean, look, to me, best pitcher on probably the best team. That's a good pick when you're thinking about it. American League, Jeremiah, you want to start with that one?
Look, man, I'm going to go in the Angels. I'm staying in LA and go with Syndergaard.
Wow.
I'm going way off base on this one.
Now that
I think with the Angels and Noah, look, he flashed in New York in big ways. So I'm gonna go with Syndergaard.
Isaac, what about you?
It's tough. I just have Garrett Cole in the back of my head, but I do not want to go with him. I instead want to go with someone from the Chicago White Sox, Lance Lynn.
It's a nice pick.
And Andrew, I'll go last again because this time I'm confident no one has my pick.
So this is for AL, right? Like we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not as familiar with the AL, unfortunately, but I'm going to say Ray won it last year, right? Or the 2022 or 2021 Cy Young. So I'm going to go with him again.
Gotcha. I'm going hometown. USF Bull, Tampa Bay Ray. I'm going with Sugar Shane McClanahan to win this thing. I think he has a huge year. I think being the ace of the best team, that gives you a lot of spotlight. And the Rays are going to lean on him and give him a lot of innings, which, will give him a chance to shine for the voters. All right, MVP time. Let's start in the National League. And I'll tell you, Andrew, I was going to pick Acuna, but I believe he's supposed to miss a month, correct?
Yeah, was it because of the injury or I think
his knee is still going to take him into May, I heard, which doesn't rule you out of winning the MVP, obviously, but
yeah, it's going to be a bit of a setback though. So he's going to lose some time. So yeah, I hear you. That may possibly take him out of the running depending on, how things go.
Yeah, well, I'll jump in then and go first on this one because probably my second pick is Tyler O'Neill with St. Louis. Another pretty young player. I mean, he won a Gold Glove last year. He was actually 8th in the MVP voting last year, so it's not like he's coming out of nowhere. But I think he takes another step forward, I guess I should say. And I think he puts up big numbers. I think the Cardinals are they're always a solid team. So I'll go with Tyler O'Neill over Acuna. Jeremiah?
I'll get it out of the way. We know we're staying at home. As long as he suits up, Mookie Betts will always be my MVP. He's it's just a 5-tool player all the way around. The defensive plays he made in the playoffs, he's got an arm, he's got speed, and actually he didn't even really hit the ball that well last year. I think he batted like 240. For Mookie, that's a down year. I think if the Dodgers are going to do what I hope they're going to do, Mookie's going to have to set the table. And again, complete bias. As long as he suits up, he's my MVP.
Isaac, who do you have?
It's interesting. When it comes to MVP, I always think of the best player. And I keep on thinking of like Trey Turner and Juan Soto, but the Nationals are not going to be good this year. So I'm not going to go with them. I'm instead going to go with a player on a team that's going to make the playoffs. It's not going to be Bryce Harper because the Phillies, Bryce Harper is always up in the MVP conversation every offseason. He never gets it done. I'm instead going to go with the one and only Freddie Freeman. I do have him winning 2 straight, and I know Jeremiah likes that because he's now on the Dodgers. I just think that the Dodgers are going to have the best record in the MLB. That's going to make Freddie look good. Freddie's still going to hit tremendously, and again, he's also tremendously when it comes to the defensive side of things. So, yeah, give me Freeman.
And Andrew, who do you got?
Freddie's striking out. I'm going with Matt Olson.
Oh my gosh. You can't get any closer to Fred Freeman than go at Matt Olson.
All right. American League MVP. Isaac, you want to start this one?
Yeah. Hey, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would be my MVP, but I have a feeling, and I always have a sense that the player that's projected to win MVP will not win MVP. Do not give me Vladdy. Instead, give me Rafael Devers. I feel like the Red Sox are going to have a pretty good year. They just signed Trevor Story. I mean, what a signing that was. Give me Devers.
Andrew, your thoughts?
I'm going to go with Ohtani again.
Yeah, that's a reasonable pick. Jeremiah?
I'm going chalk with Vlad. I mean, I think just every year he seems to get a little bit better. I think the Blue Jays, despite their pitching, are going to score a ton of runs. So I think offensively, he's just going to put up huge numbers.
Yeah. Here's a guy I think people forgot because he missed a good amount of time last year, like a lot of time last year. But he is by far the best player in all of baseball, and he has been for a while. It's Mike Trout. I think people already forgot about him because Ohtani had all those, great highlights and everything while he was out. I think the Angels are going to be a scary team. Never count out a Joe Madden-led team.
Question for you, Jeff. You don't think Trout's going to get injured again? Because he has injury problems each and every year.
He'll probably miss some time, but Mike Trout in 135 games will put up numbers that'll dwarf anyone probably. We'll see. It remains to be seen, but he is just an outstanding player. I think people forgot about him because how much Ohtani, did impressive things. But, yeah, Mike Trout, when he is healthy, I don't think there's doubt he's the best player in the league.
He's another 5-tool guy. He's another guy that does it all, from running the bases smart to making the right play in the field.
Hey guys, we have a couple people that are requesting to speak. So do we have a little time to let them jump in here?
Yeah, real quick before we make our World Series picks.
All right, Kyler, I'm going to let you in to the space here. Kyler, go ahead. Oh, he's connecting here. Let's see. All right, Kyler, go ahead.
Hey man, I like your picks. I'm a Braves fan, so I'm a huge MLB fan, man. But I just want to say something, man. Y'all sound absolutely fucking ridiculous. You guys don't know a thing about baseball.
Thanks, pal.
Awesome. Thanks, bud.
Go Braves.
Love the feedback.
Okay, so that was interesting.
You have another fan who wants to come on, you said?
Yeah. All right, Donald. We're gonna. Here goes nothing. All right, Donald. Donald, go ahead.
I just want to say I'm back. Go Braves.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So
Well,
I think we're gonna take a little break from the speakers here on the Twitter Spaces. But
Something tells me that guy leads a very aggressive tomahawk chop.
yeah, I like his spirit there. I like his enthusiasm. But the language a little bit
Language.
interesting there. But anyways,
Yeah,
all right,
friendly
carry
fella.
on, guys.
Well, Andrew, since you're a fan of the defending champions, let's World Series predictions. Let's start with you. Who do you got? AL, NL? Who's winning it?
I see the So what it was the Astros and Braves. Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe Rays and Braves.
And I assume you're picking the Braves to win that one.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, who do you have?
Gonna go Expressway Series, son. LA and LA. I think the Angels, if Trout, you sold me on Trout staying healthy. If he gets back with Ohtani, then that lineup becomes dangerous. The Angels always seem to hang around. I'll take the dark horse out of it. And of course, Dodgers win in 5.
Isaac, do you want to go next?
Why not? I'm going to go with the White Sox and Dodgers. I like what the White Sox are doing offensively and pitching-wise. Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Tim Anderson. They really got things going over there in Chicago, and then the Dodgers, self-explanatory. I really don't need to explain about them.
Who's winning?
Yeah, you can't go against the Dodgers. I just don't see how you can.
All right. Well, I'll go last and certainly not least. I also have the Dodgers going for the National League. Just don't, I just don't see anyone toppling them again. I kind of hope they do, to be honest. But let's for prediction's sake, I'll stick with the Dodgers, who I do think are the best team. I'm going with the Rays to represent the American League. I think I gave enough reasons as to why. A lot of the pitching, coming back during the season, that pitching staff's just going to be reloading constantly, not just from injured players, but from the minor leagues. They've got depth. The Rays, again, they will probably, if they're in the thick of things, make a big, like a Nelson Cruz type move to add a bat or an arm where it's needed. Pay attention to the last week of spring training, too. The Rays might not be done trying to, maneuver themselves a little bit before the season starts. And I'm taking the Rays to defeat the Dodgers and win the World Series. Shane McClanahan starts game 1, 4, and 7. 3 wins. They only need to win 1 more. So there we go. Hey, guys, we are like a week away from Major League Baseball opening day. Let's enjoy it. It should be a national holiday, in my humble opinion. I celebrate it as one.
Opening day really is the best, man. Hey, since 3 of us had the Dodgers in there, I'll tell you, Dave Roberts is usually pretty subdued, but I think he was on like Dan Patrick's show earlier this week, and he flat out just said, we're going to the World Series. He's like, we're going to win the World Series. He's like, if our starting pitching stays healthy, we win the World Series. Like, that's a pretty high bar to set, but I think our guys can back that up. Only if we get away from Andrew's boys. That's the scary part. That's the hurdle.
Yeah, you guys aren't going to get away, man. We got our talent matches yours, man. We got speed, we got batters, we got pitchers, man. So I think
how to pitch to the Dodger lineup. Seriously, you know how to pitch to the Dodger lineup.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to watch.
we've got a long season and then a long postseason ahead. And hey, everyone, make sure you're here every Wednesday night. We're always going to talk about some kind of sports. FL Teams Live. We're here every Wednesday. Join us. You can comment. You can, on YouTube. You can join the Twitter Spaces. All kinds of ways. So, for the great Jeremiah Hensley, for Andrew Eshman of the Jag Roar podcast, for our fearless leader Isaac Edelman, I'm Jeff Macolino. FL Teams, peace out. Have a happy opening
Yes.
day.